Good day, everyone! Another day means another learning, and so I welcome you to today's lesson where we will be discovering literature of the Afro-Asian. But before that, allow me to introduce to you your teachers of the hour. I am Marivic R. Oranyo together with Gwenoline A. Sanyosa, and we will be your teachers for today's discussion. And so we hope that you'll be as energetic as possible as we move on to a new lesson. But before that, Teacher Gwen prepared a short game for you to have a little background knowledge of what are we going to tackle for today.
Hi everyone! So before we start our lesson, we prepare a game for all of you, introducing a fun and challenging word jumble game. Word Jumble Challenge, you'll be presented with a series of jumbled words that need to be arranged to form meaningful words. So we prepared 5 jumbled words. So I hope that you guess all these words. So are you ready? Okay, so what do you think the word on the number 1? Literature, very good. How about the second one? Egyptian. The third, African. The fourth, magic pool. And the last words, beginning of the world. Very good. So I hope that you guess all the 5 words because it connects in our topic. In this lesson, we're going to introduce to you the African literature and also the story of The Magic Pool by Gayle Mogule and Victoria Cooper. And also, we're going to introduce to you the Egyptian literature and the Egyptian version of the beginning of the world. And lastly, the significance, literary significance of African and Egyptian literature. So to begin, let me introduce the African literature. African literature, it is the body of traditional oral and written literature in Afro-Asiatic and African languages, together with works written by Africans in European languages. So this literature is mostly about slave narratives, protests against colonizations, calls for independence, African pride, hope for the future, and dissent. So African literature is divided into 3 basic categories, namely pre-colonial literature, colonial literature, and post-colonial literature. So with that, I want to share a story with you guys. This story is called The Magic Pool by Gayle Mogwe and Victoria Cooper. Again, good morning. So today, I want to share with you an interesting story that I came across during the school break. It's about 3 friends, Bonnie, Lorato, and Kagiso, and their plan for the last day of the holiday. Bonnie and Lorato, being best friends, wanted to make the most of their time together. Lorato suggested that they go on an adventure to the magic pool. Did you already hear the magic pool? That which immediately caught their attention. So excitedly, they discussed the possibility of going there and asked Lorato how long it would take to reach the pool. Lorato informed them that it would take them half a day. However, Bonnie suddenly remembered some stories that were passed down to him by the elders in the village. These stories mention some potential dangers associated with the magic pool. So Bonnie expressed his concerns, mentioning a strange light that caused someone to fall into the water, a python that supposedly lived in the pool and would pull anyone who fell into the bottom, and a warning to not make the python angry as it could cause a frightening whirlwind. According to the stories, once someone goes to the pool, they never return to the village. So upon hearing these stories, Kagiso became frightened and decided that he no longer wanted to join Bonnie and Lorato in their adventure. I know that this story raises some interesting questions about the magic pool and the potential dangers it may hold. So it's important for us to consider the safety of ourselves and others. Perhaps we could discuss whether it's wise to explore such places without proper guidance and precautions. With that, I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this intriguing tale. As we have read the story, let us now identify the setting, characters, moral lesson, and the summary. So, this entitled, again, The Magic Pool by Gayle Mogwe and Victoria Cooper. So, the setting was where the story takes place, and it takes place in a mysterious forest that surrounds a magical pool. So, the characters are Bonnie, Lorato, and Kagiso, where it is important that it has a moral lesson. And the moral lesson of the story, it emphasizes the importance of obeying laws and listening to warnings. It teaches that those who adhere to social norms and laws will reap the benefits, while disregarding them can lead to negative consequences. Additionally, the story highlights the significance of paying attention to warnings as life presents us with tests. So the summary of the story of the Magic Pool, it is a part of a series of readers designed to foster language development and appreciation among African students. This particularly story follows the adventures of Bonnie, Lorato, and Kagiso as they embark on a quest to unravel the mystery surrounding the Magic Pool. So the characters question the truth behind the belief that no one ever returns from the pool. Through their exploration, they learn valuable lessons about obedience, curiosity, and the potential consequences of their actions. So, I hope that you've learned a lot in this story.
Isn't it fun learning the African literature and hearing about the story of the magic pool? I have a feeling that you are craving for more, and so I'll be discussing to you the Egyptian literature. So the ancient Egyptian literature included writings from the Pharaonic era and up until the end of Roman rule in Egypt. Hieroglyphic and hieratic were the two primary writing systems used in the ancient Egyptian literature. Egyptian hieroglyphs are small symbols or images of objects that represent a concept, an object, action, or a sound. It is said that the Egyptians donned their hieroglyphs as words of God, and the word hieroglyph itself means holy carving. Due to the highly respected nature of the writing, this medium was used for dignified purposes, wherein this is used to communicate with spirits and divinities. So the power of the word was not to be underestimated, as they say, and could be used to have impacts on the physical realm. For example, it was thought that mutilating the hieroglyph of a snake would remove the threat posed. On the other side, hieratic writing system is the cursive form of hieroglyphs. However, just because this style was simpler in comparison to its hieroglyphic counterpart doesn't mean that its reverence was demoted. Hieratic was also used in religious texts and in sacred ceremonies to the extent that some of the first millennium BC, hieratic was the writing style that was used most commonly in funeral papyri. So according to the Egyptian, funerary papyri contains potent magical images, wherein it is placed in tomb to enable the deceased to be reborn in the afterlife as a god. So this writing style came in two forms. Calligraphic hieratic was most commonly used for government records and manuscripts, wherein the other was used more informally and for writing letters. So these literary works were composed during the Old Kingdom, which lasted from the 26th century BC to the 22nd century BC. They included epistles, hymns, poems, and autographical narratives. So over the years, these works of art have been preserved using a wide range of various mediums, including papyrus scrolls, limestone ostraka, coffins, and stone structures. Literature was also used in religious practices. Literature was used in funerary writing to protect the souls of their deceased monarchs in the afterlife. So this literature was not just limited to poems and hymns, but includes spells and incantations. I have now here one of the literature of the ancient Egypt. It is called The Beginning of the World. This is an Egyptian version because it was formed and written during the Egyptian era. So this literary piece was all about how the world was created by the Creator. It simply tells a story of how the world was formed, who are believed and said to live first, and how things was given a life. So I will be reading this literature, and all you have to do is to listen carefully. The world was said to have formed from a vast cosmic ocean of emptiness in Egyptian mythology. The creator's sun deity Atum had been dormant in this primordial sea, which the Egyptians called Nun for untold ages. The creator deity eventually awoke and ordered the creation of a small island from the depths of the cosmos. Atum began to bring all things into existence from atop this hill, which the Egyptians termed the mound of the first event. The beginning with the male god Shu, the air, and the female goddess Tefnut, the moisture. The third generation of gods thereafter appeared, consisting of the sky goddess Nut and the masculine soil god Geb. Every aspect of nature was created through many generations, and each with a deity or goddess to rule it. Egyptian temples were replicas of this early universe, with inner sanctuaries representing the primeval hill. The floor level gradually raised as the ceilings got progressively lower as visitors made their way from the outer courts through the hypostyle hall and into the Holy of the Holiest. Dark inner chambers with just one tiny light shaft in the inner chapel to illuminate the god's statue replaced the often roofed courts and hypostyle halls with their clerestory windows. Only a small number of priests and Pharaoh himself were allowed to enter this Holy of the Holiest, which transported the guest fortunate enough to see the deity in his dwelling back to the beginning of time. A hypostyle hall in this sacred representation of space and time resembled a thicket of papyrus reeds that grew along the swampy edges of the prehistoric mound. Title of the literature read, The Beginning of the World. So let us be reminded that the creation story in ancient Egyptian mythology is complex and has variations depending on different regions and time periods. Nevertheless, the core concept of the creator deity and the subsequent generation of gods and goddesses forming the world remained consistent throughout the Egyptian history. This only means that when it comes on the story or literature of how the world began, how the world was created, is depend on the beliefs of the people during those era.
Let's proceed with the significance of the African literature. I would like to discuss the significant role of African literature in shaping cultural identities, challenging stereotypes, and promoting understanding and empathy. African literature encompasses a vast range of narratives, voices, and perspectives that reflect the rich and diverse experiences of the continent. Firstly, African literature plays a crucial role in reclaiming and celebrating African history, traditions, and cultural heritage. Through storytelling and literary works, African authors have been able to revive and preserve oral traditions, legends, and folklore that might have otherwise been lost over time. This literature serves as a powerful tool for cultural preservation, instilling a sense of pride and identity among African communities. Secondly, African literature challenges stereotypes and misconceptions about the continent. It provides an alternative narrative to the often one-sided portrayal of Africa in mainstream media. African authors explore themes such as colonialism, post-colonialism, racism, and social injustice, shedding light on the complexities of African societies and their struggles. By doing so, African literature serves as a platform for creating awareness and promoting dialogue about important social issues. African literature fosters cross-cultural understanding and empathy. Through engaging with African literature, readers from diverse backgrounds gain insight into the realities, histories, and experiences of African people. This exposure to different perspectives helps break down barriers, reduces prejudice, and encourages empathy for cultures that may be unfamiliar to us. It allows us to connect on a deeper level with shared human experiences and emotions portrayed in these literary works. In conclusion, literary holds immense significance in terms of cultural preservation, challenging stereotypes, promoting understanding, and contributing to the global literary landscape. It also allows us to explore the diverse and complex realities of Africa, fostering empathy and cross-cultural connections. Through the power of storytelling, African literature continues to shape our understanding of the continent and its people.
We now know what the Egyptian literature is about, their way of writing, and how they preserve those for the benefit of their next generation. So let us now understand the significance of their literature. So significance of Egyptian literature. So the literature of the ancient Egypt was literary works that revered as the earliest known literature in the world. So the literature of Egypt was scripted in two main writing systems, and those are the hieroglyphic and the hieratic. Literature was used for a myriad of different reasons, such as to teach, to entertain, and was mostly used in religious worship. So the ancient Egypt and Rome helped in shaping today's literature by leaving behind a legacy in their legends. Egyptians were the first to develop literary devices and religious texts. So see how these literature influence and affects the beliefs of their people. And not just that, it also become a tool in order for them to create something that could last for a very long time. And that ends today's discussion. We hope that you find this literature interesting of learning. And if you wanted to know more about them, you are free to browse these references. Thank you for listening and have a great day.